Khadija here, founder of Calling All Messengers. Thanks for joining me on this video series of how to create a life that you love. Truly, we are in charge of that, and I hope that you find some answers and some tools and some techniques that will help you really create the life that you love, because you deserve it. You deserve the very best life possible for you, and I hope you get more clarity and understanding about what that looks like. If you haven't watched video 1, please do that, and because there's some cool information in there. I talk about my journey. I talk about a car hitting me and throwing me 40 feet in the air, and how I found this amazing, peaceful, loving, amazing serenity inside of me, this surrenderedness that just radiated this feeling of love and, in my opinion, God inside of me and outside of me. It was a beautiful moment. I hope you check it out. So here we are. We've talked about what we want. What do we want? Like, what does our heart and soul really want? I shared my experience that I really wanted to feel more of that love, peaceful surrenderedness within me, and it sent me on a journey to find that, to have that. And in this video, I also talked about in one that because I've created this life, and there's more being created all the time. I live where I want to live. I live on a beautiful lake, and I love to be outside, so I'm doing this outside, which means you may hear a dog bark, or the water, or a boat, or people laughing, or mowing, or whatever. So just know that I'm doing this where I want to be, and so I am living the life of my dreams. So I hope that inspires you to do the same. So we talked about in video 1 that we have a choice. Happiness is a choice. I'd given it to everyone else to make me happy, but happiness, come to find out, is really our choice. We get to choose it anytime we want to. The other concept we talked about was what makes us happy. People have handed down to us the idea of happiness and what that looks like. What does that look like for you, really? If we were to just cut the cord to, like, have amnesia about what that might look like from our parents and media and society, religion, and of course the internet. If we were to cut that, and say, well, what really, in me, really, what is my happiness? What is my truth? What would it be for me to be happy? How would my perfect life look like? And so we talked about journaling about that and really giving your soul permission to answer that question. And then the third concept we talked about is happiness is our divine heritage. I mean, we were born to be happy because we are creative energy and birthed out of creative energy. We are creating our life right now. With every thought, word, and action, we're creating the life that we're living right now. So we get to choose what we create in our life. So that's pretty exciting, because that's powerful. In some ways it's powerful, in other ways it's a little scary, because that means we're in charge. That means we're accountable. So we'll be talking about that too. So in this conversation, we're going to talk about what's in our way. So when I talk about the frustration that I had when I was hit by the car materialized my frustration, my resentment, my victimhood thinking. The thing that was going on inside of me the most, the biggest, and I believe that is for all of us that gets in our way, is one of the biggest is resentment. I was harboring resentment. I was harboring resentment to everybody that I really cared about. The people that weren't really I'm not going to say important in my life, because everyone that we meet, everyone we encounter has an importance in our life. These are the people that I felt like should, we talked about taking should and need out of our vocabulary. These are people I thought should love me to a greater degree, better. They should love me better. And that's my parents, my family, my siblings, my husband. I felt like they should love me better. And if they just loved me better, then I would feel better about myself. I would be happier in my life. So that concept, so how do you get that out of the way? How do you get resentment out of the way? Because resentment can own us. Resentment I equate to drinking poison hoping the other person suffers. And what I mean by that is when we hold grudges, anger, fear, we're drinking the poison. It's hurting us. It's hurting our heart. It's hurting our body. It's hurting all the other relationships that we have. It's hurting us. We take it with us wherever we go. And that's a choice. Again, I didn't know it was a choice. Part of the happiness is a choice part. I didn't know. So resentment is within us. It's like we get to choose whether we resent somebody or not, whether we have these expectations. Expectations are premeditated resentments. When we expect someone to behave a certain way, when we expect someone to read our mind as to what we want, when we expect someone to love us a certain way, I hope some of this is resonating with you because it sure resonated with me. I'm like, come on, you should love me enough to know what to do. You should love me enough to know what to say. And on and on and on it goes, right? And so resentment, huge. So resentment is in our way. The second concept that was really important to my growth and my understanding was that I had very limiting beliefs. I came from a very average family, and we were taught to go along, get along, and just be happy, even though wasn't sure what that looked like. So really what I was taught with my limiting beliefs was you can't almost. It's almost like you can't be happy. Put on a mask. Choose to look like you're happy. Don't tell people your feelings. Just get over it. So what I heard in that was that my feelings didn't matter. What I heard from that was that I wasn't good enough, that it didn't matter what I thought. It didn't matter what my feelings were, to just put them under the carpet, under the rug, whatever you want to call it, and just go live. Just go be. And this is how I took it. Not saying everyone has, but I've met a whole lot of people in doing this many times, as long as I've done it. I'm just like most everyone else. I didn't realize I was like everyone else, but I totally am. It's like I have so many limiting beliefs. I never thought that I could create my life. I really thought that these are the things that I was supposed to do, and these things would cause me happiness. I never really thought about going to the moon, let's say. Someone did, obviously, because there's people that have gone to the moon. But in my family, I had limiting beliefs, and I believe that most of us do. It's like there's a ceiling of how much money we think we should make or could make. There's a ceiling of as good a job as we could possibly get. I think there's a ceiling for relationships, what that could be and who we could attract. I believe we have all kinds of limiting beliefs that were handed down to us, including all the shoulds and needs, that we should do this, we should do that, we shouldn't do this. All of those things were handed down to us, and promotes the guilt and shame that I'm like Xing out, I hope. No more. Fear-driven living. I believe that there was a fear-driven. There is still ongoing, but we're changing it to a love-driven living instead of a fear-based living. So what limiting beliefs do you have about your life? Because when we're talking about living a life that we love, we've got to let go of those. We've got to let go of those fears. We've got to let go of those thoughts that limit us, because we have the capacity to do anything. We have the universal creative energy, the God energy, the spirit energy, whatever you want to call it. We have it within us to do and have everything. Which brings me to concept number 3. We are divine creative energy. And what gets in the way of that? Fear of the unknown. Think about it. Even though you may not like where you are, I know this was true for me. So, we're kind of like talking to each other, and I believe we're all connected. And so I think there's a web of consciousness out there that we're changing just by having this conversation. I wasn't okay where I was. At the same time, it was comfortable being where I was, being a little unhappy. I was comfortable in that unhappiness. I was comfortable in that victimhood. I was comfortable in living the average life. I'll be honest with you. I was comfortable in it. Did it feel good? No. But was it something that I knew? Yes, you betcha. I knew it, kind of how I'd lived my whole life, being a victim. Not like a terrible, victim, because if you were to ask people that knew me, I was happy, because I really had been taught to wear good masks. And there was a part of happiness in me. I knew I was happy. I also knew there was something more. So in my self-discovery journey, I really realized how much pain that I had in me. I realized I had to get real. I had to get radically real about how I felt and what that meant for me in order to give it up, in order to allow the radiance to flow in me and be in me. So that was cool. So back to creative energy. We get to create the life that we want. And what's so scary is we don't know what it's going to look like. When I went through this process of discovery, I realized that I had to, in order to change, I had to let go of everything that I knew. And so that was the most scary thing. In order to birth the real me, the new me, and new me, it was harder than birthing my children, I'll be honest with you. But I wanted it so bad. And I think that's what I want to tell you. You've got to want it so bad to be willing to step into the unknown. So in this video too, when we talk about what's in our way, the biggest things that are in our way is resentment, holding on to pain and grudges for people. The second thing is limiting beliefs, believing in what other people said we could or could not do. It's that self-worth. It's that feeling not good enough. When we believe that we're not good enough, then we get stopped in our tracks. And those limiting beliefs keep us from going forward because we're afraid. What happens? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be rejected. Because you know what? You will be. There'll be people that won't want to do what you have to offer, won't want to do what you want to do. We'll talk about it in the next video. It's okay. And then the third concept we talked about is the unknown. We can create a life that we want, but that fear of what it's going to look like, that fear of dying to what we know, the fear of dying to comfort, change, life that we love, doing something different, having an excited life that's right outside of our comfort zone. So, thanks for joining me on this second video of creating a life that you love. On the third one, the final one, we're going to talk about how to move out of the way, what's in the way. So I look forward to seeing you soon on that. Thanks again for playing with me in this game of reality and radiant, radical realness. So until next time, be that radiant, radical, and real self that you are.